Welcome to the Alta California Railway. Today we're working on the Interurban line, laying in new track and roads, and upgrading some rolling stock and structures to fit our 1968 Mexican theme. The largest industry on the layout is a brewery specializing in beer. A long spur comes off the main at Esquina and goes past the depot at Guaymas before ending at the brewery to serve it. The lead is also a third platform for local regional doodlebug motorcar service connecting all the small towns along the line. It also has a team track spur, which will unload a wide variety of traffic. It's primarily used to ship the freshly caught shrimp and swordfish from the docks. The brewery spur itself is also double-tracked. One spur has an unloading chute for covered hoppers of grain. The other handles insulated boxcars of beer shipped outbound. Inbound traffic is glass bottles and printed packing material in standard boxcars. Laying the track was straightforward, but it had some constraints. Most importantly, we wanted ample space for the platform to handle crowds of long-distance and local trains simultaneously on this low platform setup. We carefully designed a jig that ensured proper platform height and distance from the rails so that it'll look realistic and operate well. We used this tunnel motor with its immense western plow and a doodlebug to measure step height and clearance. Once that was done, we glued down strips of N-scale cork to the roadbed to simulate a more modest ballast profile. We used big thumbtacks to hold the track. I bought these as a joke, but honestly, I consider them now invaluable for track laying. They hold down both pieces of cork simultaneously and look absurd doing it. Next was track. I prefer using microengineering code 70 for sidings because it looks more realistic. It can simulate wobbly, less well-maintained portions of sidings because it holds its shape well. In this case, we used some leftover code 83, and it still looks wonderful. Once the cork was dry, we put the track down and held it in place with tight bond 2 and track nails. Of course, the next step was a mini operation session to switch out the entire plant. Look at it glide so smoothly. As a rule, I put wire drops on both sides of every switch to ensure you're not relying on iffy power distribution inside the switch mechanism. The ample amount of wire drops keeps everything running smoothly. If you're curious about this NDM RS1, I recently did a Joy of Kit Bashing video covering how I built it. As my channel name suggests, I enjoy interurban electric railroads. It's time to flesh out one of those for my own on the Alta. Jay ordered some Tilly tram track to help figure out the car barn trackage. We then set about finalizing the trackage. Ideally, it'll be a place for the cars dedicated to this depot to undergo cleaning and light maintenance. A larger central shops is off the layout. We snapped the Tilly track together easily and then drew out the main line and car barn connection. The layout needed to be extended a bit to put in the lead, and now we had all the track, it made shaping it into an elegant ergonomic shape for easy access much easier. I cut some of the foam off the front of the layout and hot glued a new section on. It fit perfectly. Next we laid cork, let that dry, and then used an X-Acto to chunk out some foam. Then I used a smooth grade transition down into the shops using a surf arm plane to angle the cork and foam. The track was next. I used a new Walthers No. 4 for the lead into the facility. The flex track is a mix of microengineering and Pico. We laid it up to where the highway crosses both the Alta and the Interurban. That's what we worked on next. The railroad crossing will add to the photo curve and frame this iconic scene. It's based on a 1960s era Mexican highway engineering standard. I made it 24 feet wide with some shoulders on either side where appropriate. I used a base of Sculptamold, which I let dry for a couple of days before using Woodland Scenic Smooth It for a top layer. I then sanded it down and gave the road a gentle crown for drainage. Under the road, I had a corrugated galvanized steel pipe rolled from some Campbell metal siding I had lying around. That's held together with CA glue. It provides drainage from the main line through Esquina into the estuary. Making these realistic considerations on your layout will also make a big difference. Think about where people naturally might walk and create desire paths on your layout. Think about how rainwater might run off the scenery you make and where that water should go. Little things like this make a huge difference subconsciously and adds a lot to the layout. Eventually, I'll print out accurate 1960s era Spanish language crossbucks and maybe even add functional crossing signals too. Continuing the story of last week, I created some building ruins. When the Alta built a new main line through Esquina in the late 1920s, they bought up many parcels of land and demolished a variety of buildings that were in the way. Almost all of the land was rebuilt upon. The bakery and market building was built afterwards and a plot of land sold off by the railroad after construction. However, one small wedge part of land became a liminal space. The rubble of the building that once stood there wasn't ever cleared out, and despite the land being for sale for decades, it never sold. So now the remnants of the structure are being reclaimed by nature. I made a hydrocal casting of a concrete wall and then broke it apart in the mold. I then arranged the floor plan of the ruins, which were still intact, and then glued the rubble and debris around it. The locals then added some junk tires and appliances. Along with the severed road, it helps tell the story of a railroad improved and a community changed. I also went and upgraded the little school with new windows, doors, and a new Spanish-style entrance. I followed that up by upgrading the smokehouse behind the butcher shop in a similar fashion. Now with scenery and structures going in on the inside of the photo curve, the scene is coming to life nicely. Framed by the highway and the town, the trains have a great stretch of track to be shown off. In preparation for some passenger car projects, I taught Jay how to wire up car lighting using an old Alta caboose I had lying around. He dutifully designed a little circuit and mounted it to the piece of styrene inside the car. It came out really nice and adds a lot of life to this little caboose. While he was doing that, I built and weathered these two 50-foot boxcars, which will make a great addition to the layout. The Interurban line temporarily ends abruptly at the edge of the estuary, but it won't be that way once we're done. In the next layout update video, we'll bridge that gap. However, the next Alta video will be something different. It'll be an official history of the Alta California Railroad and how it fits into the fabric of railroad history as a whole. Stay tuned for that by subscribing. Thanks, as always, to my patrons for making this possible for me to dedicate many hours of editing, recording, and publishing these videos for you to enjoy. This has been Interurban Era. Looking forward to your comments and questions below.